Derry is not like any town I've been in before. They did a study once and it turns out that people die or disappear at 6 times the national average. And that's just the grown-ups. Kids are worse. Way, way worse. Today's video will be traveling back to Derry as we have a look at the NECA Toys It 2017 Gamestop exclusive. God, I hate clowns. Okay, let's get the measurements going for it here. Pennywise the Clown, the GameStop exclusive of Pennywise, stands at 7.4 inches in height. To switch that over to centimeters, you'd be looking at 18.8 centimeters. Now, obviously, this is the GameStop exclusive of Pennywise. Here's what the retail release version of Pennywise looks like. An almost carbon copy identical treatment from one to the other. This one I just slightly have a little bit more arched down. But the figures are identical, of course, with some very generous sprinklings of blood drenched all over the outfit here of Pennywise the Clown. We'll look and compare accessories, the more common and shared accessories between the two. Both Pennywise clowns come with the red balloon. However, the one that is the GameStop exclusive, you can probably see right off the bat, does have an I Love Derry printed on it. Other than that, it's the exact same balloon, which does run into the same problems that I had with the original released balloon, in that the wire string here, if you will, doesn't actually wrap its way around the balloon. It sits actually rather behind it. A workaround to that, you could take it and just kind of wrap it around it. I've read from some viewers that they've actually just gone in and painted the little area of the knot white, just so it looked like that the string actually went right around through it. But the other balloon was the exact same problem. The string was attached behind, and rather not, I guess they could have attached it from the bottom portion of the knot. Perhaps the stability of it, but I feel like the stability would have been the same either way. Although if you slightly tilt the balloon, you can see that there's something inside there. They probably have added some additional glue in there, but they probably could have still added the hole on the bottom and attached it that way. Even though it's not really technically correct, I guess this would be the closest way to do it, because if you attached it on the underside, it would just look like the string's coming out from inside the balloon, which actually wouldn't make any sense either. The balloons also, being that they are wire framed, you can bend them, you can manipulate them any which way that you want. You can kind of make it look a little bit more like the balloon has, you know, some more lighter, airier string added to it. And then of course the GameStop exclusive also has the same holding hand. I just so happen to have that one currently plugged into the socket of the retail released Pennywise. You're just going to want to take the wire here and feed it through the hand. It's not the easiest to do it the first time around. What I found the best way to do it was just to twist the hand a little bit until eventually, yeah, you fed it right through. It's always like that first entryway doesn't seem to go through the first time around, but then sure enough after that it would be perfectly fine. Just take that out. Now the retail release also came with the SS Georgie, which is completely omitted here from the GameStop exclusive. But one thing that the GameStop, at the very least to its credit, does come included with is a very gruesome, gross-looking severed arm of Georgie. Poor little Georgie. I would have loved if this hand was included with the retail released as well. as opposed to just having to go the route of GameStop's exclusive to simply get just an arm. Now granted, again, like, you're getting some extra dolloping of blood, but you could easily have just added that to the figure yourself. There's really not a whole lot of, quote, exclusives added to this particular set other than just Georgie's arm. That's really the mileage that you're going to be getting from this release, is solely Georgie's arm. It looks good as a little small child's hand. And you see the hand itself, very dirty, very dingy. Probably didn't start that way, but Pennywise has had the arm down in the sewer. I guess he was just deciding to hold on to it for a while. But you can see like the little severed end of the stump of the arm. It really looks gruesome. Slight wet, slick coat added to the raincoat sleeve. Just gives it that sense, it looks like it's a little bit on the wet side. Pennywise can very easily hold the hand, depending on how you want to do it. You can either have him holding it like this, as if he's holding it up like a trophy, or like in the scene, you can have him as if he's actually waving using the child's hand. Very gruesome. The only other accessory that he comes included with is a couple of interchangeable hands. Now those hands are identical, as you could probably guess it. I'll put him right there. The hands are identical to the other hands. On the other hands, I just so happen to have this, the other hands are on there. But I'll show you that the hands are the same, other than just the blood that's added to the fingertips. That's the only difference. Same as well for the balloon holding hand. Again, same hands as the one that we got with that one, other than just some extra blood added to the tips. Now the one thing about this particular Pennywise is that they actually forfeited one of the heads, and it just so happens to be the head that is currently on the retail release that I've got right here. It was one of my favorite heads, and it's left off completely for the GameStop exclusive. And there's the two heads right there. If I just put this figure down for a second and grab this head, this was one of the 3 heads that came included with the figure, and you can see it's the head that they ended up going with for this head sculpt here. The only other head sculpt that comes included with this figure is this one right here, which, putting him down, bears, a striking resemblance to the one that we got here. So basically you get 2 heads instead of the 3 that came include the retail release, and then you got Georgie's arm. That's about the only real difference, and the I Love Derry balloon. Again, it's the exact same head sculpt, just some much needed, much appreciated extra blood. But this is really something that you could easily customize yourself. Just taking a little bit of red paint, slopping it on there. It's really the mileage of the extra printing to the balloon, this balloon right here, and Georgie's arm, that I think is warranting why you would necessarily want to pick up this particular figure over just simply getting this figure and then just doing some of the customization yourself. I guess you probably could find an arm somewhere that looks close enough like Georgie's and just simply have him holding that. So it's a bit of a hard sell, I have to admit, for the fact that you are getting, ideally, the exact same figure, just with some extra blood, a different print on a balloon, and a severed arm of Georgie. Now, I'm going to move him over for a second. And the reasoning why he's here and not in the center is I think if they were going to be giving us an exclusive figure, sure, it's nice that they give us an arm, and certainly it's nice that they give us a variation to the balloon. But if you're going to remove one head, this head here, and only give us 2 head sculpts, I wish instead of giving us this head sculpt, they would have given us this head sculpt. Ew, that's such a gruesome looking photo of Pennywise. But they should have gone that route. Something that I had mentioned when we first had a look at the retail release of Pennywise. I like the feral, scarier Pennywise clown head that they gave with that figure. But really, again, boop, right there, they should have given him this head sculpt. This figure could have probably come with that head sculpt And I think that would have also warranted why you could have picked this up as a GameStop exclusive. One more time. Ugh. That's a gruesome head sculpt. Still, though, it's a nice sculpt overall. I've never had any issues with this particular body or figure of Pennywise. But again, it's just a bit of a harder sell. I ultimately had to pick up this figure online. And you probably know the story of Canadian shopping, buying things in the US. I paid brokerage fees, and I also paid shipping fees. I think when it was all said and done, this figure was about $84 for essentially this figure, just with some extra blood and Georgie's arm. But I'm going to digress from that. Go ahead and just take his arm off. We won't spend a whole lot of time focusing on this guy just because we've done so much of that in the previous review of him. The Victorian style of clown outfit works exceptionally well to date this particular character's design. I'm glad that they went this route, dating him rather than giving him the more colorful Tim Curry Pennywise, which, if you are wondering, yes, the review of him is coming. I'm just waiting for him to be delivered. Okay, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the blood because, of course, that is the big sell for this particular release. You've got good, sufficient amounts of blood splattered as he is engorged himself in the Feast of Children. One thing I do like, though, is that there's various shades of blood, so it does look like it's still wet. Darker, little more globular pieces of blood, sprinkled very generously amongst more a liquid, more transparent blood. Again, right across his face. It carries into his teeth as well as is in his tongue. Face sculpt is still really good. And then he's got the blood around the collar, more of a darker variety. And he's got some blood on the front skirt portion of his outfit. The legs don't really get anything. So looking at it really from like leg down, there's really nothing different between that and the original retail release. And then you've got some extra blood, that's just the figure on the side dropping. Some blood on the fingertips, but I feel like if he's holding something that he's eating, some blood could have also made its way into maybe the cuff collar here. Certainly would not be pristine. This should have actually had some extra blood on there as well. And maybe some blood also on the forearm area. Still a nice looking figure. Just kind of wish he had a little bit more going for him. Posability on this guy, his head rotates all the way around. Hinges up and down. And actually, he's got the ball joint, as I've discussed before when we had a look at the figure. The ball joint sits quite far down on a very long neck of Pennywise, allowing for a good range of motion back and forth there. The arms hinge outward to about there, and you can rotate the arms all the way around. He's got not one, but two bends in the elbow, which I don't feel is the most successful of bends. I appreciate that it's there, but look how little it hinges. Just that sliver of a gap there and a sliver of a notch there gives you that. That's all you're getting. If they put actually the hinge right in the middle, you could have actually gotten more of a bend, possibly from one joint, rather than giving us two joints that only give you to that. The forearm rotates all the way around. The hands rotate all the way around and hinge back and forth. The collar is not, the cuff is not a separate piece. Waist swivels, actually has a ball joint. Legs split out, forward, back, bend at the knee. And actually, while I'm at it, I just want to say as well, he's got a swivel right actually where it connects to the ball joint. Double hinge on the knee. Bends a lot better here than it bends up here. And then you rotate the lower leg, hinge back and forth on the foot, ankle pivot, back and forth as well. By the way, as well, he's got peg holes on the undersides of his feet. This guy, for the most part, does a pretty good job of standing. If you have him strictly in a museum pose, i.e., if you have his legs simply just standing as you see right here, he stands perfectly fine. If you want to get a little bit crazier with your posing, like I tried to do in the last review, where I think I actually tried to get him to, in the kind of jumping back and forth dancing that he was doing at the near the end of the movie. You can do that, and actually it accomplished it well by using just the one peg. I was surprised actually that the leg held as well as it did for really only standing on the one foot. Not really sure how I feel about this particular figure. I'm happy that I have it, but part of me thinks if I have like the balloon, which says I love Derry, and I have the regular red balloon, I'd be more inclined to lean towards just the red balloon than I would with one that has I love Derry across it. I would see myself displaying him more so with this. So we move those out of the way. Then really the only deciding factor is this severed, now missing body of Georgie, just his arm. Is this enough to warrant getting an exclusive of the figure? I'd say the majority of me probably says no. This arm could have easily come with the retail release. I don't feel like it's enough, in all honesty, to warrant picking this particular figure up. If you had given me the sell of the extra new head sculpt, that might have been a different case altogether. Store exclusives can be a really alluring premise. The idea that you can get a figure that you may already have in your collection, but something different about it. The best examples of store exclusives are ones that come with exclusive heads and accessories that never were on the original. Disney Store has been doing this for a very long time by giving us Marvel Select versions of characters we may already have, but a slightly different unmasked or varied head sculpt may be enticing for collectors to then want to go and pick those up. But really, by just the sheer notion of what a store exclusive could be, it could simply just be something that has a slight repaint to it. Funko is very good for this. They may give us a Funko Pop vinyl figure that general retail store circulations may have just a regular coat of paint, and a store exclusive may have some metallic paints added to it. And that's all they do. And people clamor to get the store exclusive because the paint is completely different. Pennywise here is, for the most part, falls into that second category. Yeah, you get some accessories, being a different printed balloon in Georgie's arm, but other than that, there's not really that much that separates him from the retail counterpart, other than just a little bit of blood. I could argue the point that the blood is something you could simply add to a figure that you get yourself and save yourself the exorbitant prices that you may end up paying for an exclusive, especially when it already sells out in stores. I cry foul a little bit when it comes to this particular figure because I don't feel like there's enough that warrants picking him up, or certainly at the very least paying any bit more for this one that you may have paid for the retail release. The retail version still goes for about $34.99 here in Canada, or about mid-20s in the US. If you are paying any bit more than that for the exclusive of Gamestop, which sadly now is sold out, I think you're paying a little bit too high for a figure that really only has some extra blood that's been put on his body and his face and Georgie's arm. That's about the only thing that you're paying differently for it. I feel I'm maybe a little bit spoiled by the fact that we've gotten ourselves different head exclusives, that I feel like Pennywise, at the very least, if you're going to forfeit one of the three heads, why not swap one of those heads to the much scarier head that I showed you over the course of this review? Then I would say most wholeheartedly this would be a figure that you would want to add to your collection. But I'm sort of still lukewarm to this guy. I like that he has Georgie's arm. I feel like that could have been included with the original store release. The I Love Derry balloon is great, but I'm probably never going to display him with that. And if anything, I'm only going to display it with this exclusive, which is almost then ironic that I'm displaying an accessory that I would only have displayed with an exclusive, and it's the only way you can get an accessory that I wouldn't normally have displayed with a regular retail release. My head hurts. Either way, today we were having a look. This was the GameStop exclusive of the NECA toys. This was the IT 2017 release of Pennywise the Clown. If you've managed to pick this one up for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section. Is this worth picking up? Maybe to the other people that have not yet grabbed this one for themselves, I just want to weigh in. Do you guys think that this is a worthy enough exclusive that's worth picking up? Or do you think that this is a figure that you can pass on altogether? Always like reading your comments down below, guys, and if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet to this channel, what are you waiting for? Many more NECA reviews will be coming your way. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.